Okay, so are you guys able to tell if it's recording or not? Or it, it does? Okay, good. Okay, so let's get started, and that way we don't go on and on forever. So just a few house cleaning items. You know, most of you have turned your work in, and you've done, a lot of you have done the extra credit. And I want to remind you the easiest way to get extra credit is to just send a picture of your voting, like I voted sticker, to send it to the extra credit thing. And it's the easiest way. I'll give you a full extra credit on your project. And you know, you don't have to vote a certain way. Just vote. Just show me the sticker. Okay. I'll trust you that you'll vote correctly. Right. So the other thing is just basically how the grading is going to go for the semester. It's very, very simple. It's worked for years, and my system has worked for years. And the way it works is I take your project grade, I average them together, and then I meld it with your participation grade, right? So I know a lot of you have like interacted with each other and made comments and stuff, but not enough of you have. So I'd like you to like, you know, don't make me make it like a mandatory thing, because that just seems weird to me. But try and here's the idea: just help your classmates out somehow. If you can see, look for a way to help one of your classmates out, and that'll be satisfactory for your participation grade. So I take an average of your projects, say it's a B, right? And I'll apply your participation grade, which is either a check minus, a check, or a check plus. A check minus means you didn't participate at all, right? And you were barely on Canvas, and you know, I'll give people a check minus if they're also annoying to me in some way. So none of you have been annoying, which I appreciate. Last semester, there was a couple. So the check is just your project grade remains the same. And if you get a check plus, which is easy to do, all you have to do is be generally like engaged, and your B will go to an A for the semester. So it's important that you know you interact, and frankly, that's the only way that makes these online classes a success, is if you get online and you think part of the class is just like, okay, how am I going to help someone, right? And if you go with that attitude, you'll be fine. You know, you'll get the check plus, you'll get your A. This happens once in a while. Sometimes you'll do projects and you'll have straight A's on your project, and then I'll give you your participation grade, which in my grade book, I'll give you an A plus. So you can actually make an A plus in this class. It won't show on your transcript, it won't show on Canvas, but I'll have you down for an A plus. And why that matters? It matters because just this week, I wrote 3 letters of recommendation, and you better believe the first thing that I put on there was that this student was one of the very rare A plus students, and that makes a difference when I'm trying to fill out, you know, when I'm writing a letter of recommendation. By the way, I'll always write you a letter of recommendation. So as long as I'm still ballpark, you know, in the field of education, I'll write you a letter of recommendation, or or letter of reference, right? So here's how that works. If you give me enough lead time, um, and say it's like you give me a month, right? I'll write you a custom, you know, at this point, I'm really good at these. I'll write you a custom letter of recommendation. And if you're an A plus student, I'll make sure that that part's in there. And that makes a difference to the committees that read these. And if you need a letter of recommendation and it's last minute, I'll still write it, but it'll just be a recycle. So out of my dozens and dozens of letters of recommendation, I'll pick the closest person that I think will fit you, right? And I'll just recycle it. And so, and maybe change it so that it's a little more custom. But if it's last minute, you'll probably get just sort of a template, kind of a letter of recommendation. Okay, so that offer is good indefinitely. I just had a student ask me for one. She was my student, I think 5 years ago. And so I didn't I remembered her, but I didn't remember the work that she did. So she sent a couple of images of her projects. And then I was like, of course, I remember this. I remember all of this, right? And so my retention for your projects is pretty good, but you have to remind me if you want me to write you a letter. If you're applying for like a job or something where it's just a letter of reference, then you can hit me up again because I like being that kind of resource for you where you can just, you can count on me to get you a letter if you need one. Okay. So that's permanent. That's just a perk of taking one of my classes. And so, you know, make use of it. Okay. So that's all the small stuff. Now on to project 4. Project 4 is your personal container. And at this point of the semester, I hope you've kind of figured out volume at this point, right? We had mass in the beginning. We had implied volume was the wire project. We had enclosed volume, not as much as I hope, but there was enclosed volume in your third project, right? And the fourth project is transitional space or transitional volume, where you'll take a space and you'll alter it, right? That's a fancy way of saying you're going to make a container that opens and closes. That's it, right? Okay, so this container, the idea of this is very simple. The actual, what I make you do is very hard. It's very conceptually hard. A lot of times it's the process can be very difficult. But I'm giving you a month and a half to do it. So I really want you to focus on really the quality of this project. And if that means bugging me on Hangouts like 3 times a day, I'm into it, and again, it's, what you bring to this is what I'll give you back. So if you're asking like a lot of questions, I'll like answer them and I'll research it if I need to, right? Whatever energy that you have, I'll just match it. And that's the way I've always taught. Okay. So the volume portion of this is important, but I want you to shift your focus a little bit. Quality is job 1. The other thing that I want you to like focus on is the narrative of this project. I want your voice, your personality, your hand, your your point of view, all of this into this one project. Okay, that's the hard part, right? Because I'm just asking you to find stuff around that's just, you know, you can use your old, you know, if you wanted to, you could make a container from your foam board and your wire and your paper project. You know, those are kind of found objects. The idea of this project is that I don't want you to spend any money, zero money, right? If you have to like go and get glue or something, then that's fine, right? Or string, or, you know, little peripheral things. But the essential material, I want you to just like find it, have it around. Okay. So to recap, you know, I want this to be, oh, actually, we're not recapping yet because I haven't told you everything. So I want you to like think about this container as a metaphor for you. So in other words, how you project outwardly, right? What you want people to think of you, how you address other people, how you act around other people, your exterior. I want that to be, I want this project to be a metaphor for that, your exterior, how you project outwards, right? Conversely, the interior, I want it to like just loosely be a, you know, metaphor for your interior, not your physical interior, but your emotional interior. In other words, how you are once people get past that facade, the outside, right? So let's go to the examples. I'm going to share screen. No. Let's see. Let's not share all your grades with everybody. We want to go to, oh, okay. Let's just go to the examples that I gave you here. We're in project 4, and I uploaded new examples. I hope they're here. Oh, they're all here. Great. Okay. All right. So the one I wanted to show you as a perfect example of a metaphor is this one. And so the person that did this, he was very, very reserved. He wasn't a jerk or anything. He wasn't cold quite, but he was very reserved and very guarded and very like kind of skeptical of, you know, a little bit contrary to everything. And so he had this kind of like exterior that was cold and hard, and, you know, and he was really that way in the beginning of the semester. This is Pasadena. Then this is the last project. So towards the end of the semester, he started to open up a little bit. And what you realized with this guy was such a sweetheart on the inside. He was so gentle and really like to the point where I could understand why he was so guarded, because he just seems so gentle and fragile and sweet on the inside, that I think his personality was just sort of to guard this sort of soft interior. So he made this project, and you can't see it, but that's a heart right there. And this blue stuff, there's a light in here, but the blue stuff is just light baby blue fur, right? Like, and very sweet, and really, really matched his personality, right? Because he was like, you know, towards the end of the semester, especially, he was like, he finished before everyone, and he was floating around the classroom and just was like, oh, oh, let me give you a hand, let me help you. And so that was a perfect example of a metaphor, right? And that's why I give you this one as an example, because he did it right. Okay, so um, this was okay. So I'm gonna put a moratorium on hollowed out books. Too many people are doing. Too many people have done them, and I did allow this one because the person was like, I really want to make this book and then, hold these keys in there, and I'll make the book myself. Like I'll bind it and everything. And I was like, okay, right. If you're going to take it that seriously, then you can do it. But, um, and, what some people were doing would they would just take a random book and then hollow it out and then put something inside there, and it didn't really capture the metaphor aspect of this project. And so at the very least, if you were going to do something like this, I would want you to at least pick out a book that meant something to you, but that's not what happened. Okay, so this one, it's not, I mean, I really, really like this project. It's not one of my favorites, but the process by which this person made this is my favorite thing. So the guy that made this, this is probably like 2005 or 2006. But the guy that made this, he was my first autistic student, and we were just, I didn't know what was wrong. I'd never had an autistic student, and I just, we weren't communicating, and I was way too loud. And um, I finally called DSPS and asked them, what's wrong, what's happening? And they told me, oh, he's autistic and he's extremely, extremely bright, right? And so what I realized that was that um, there was something in his head. We just had to get to it. And so it's a point of pride that we just, I sat with them. We just talked and talked. We figured out what he was into. We figured out what material he had. And he loved just going on to the beach. These are all shells that he found in various places, right? And he put them together. And then to top it off, he made this shell is pinned together, and it actually pivots out, and the point of the shell goes into this hole right here, and it locks it shut, right? So the container itself, that's one of the rules, is that it needs to shut. It can't open. You should be able to turn it upside down and it should stay shut. So he was able to do that. And I felt like, this was a big surprise, but I learned something. What I learned is that there's something like that in everybody's head. And it's just a matter of like getting to it, right? So this project's very important to me because I feel like not this particular, I mean, this project is important, but project 4 is important to me because I feel like one of my skills is to reach that spot where you have something that you want to like manifest into 3D. And I feel like we can get there if you meet me halfway, right? If there's something you really want to do and want to put it out there, then I'll help you as much as I can to get it there. And so this is a good example of that. These other ones are just kind of nice projects. This guy was a photographer, So the exterior was a camera and the interior were memories, you know? So I thought that was a nice metaphor. Um, okay, this was another really, really, really good metaphor. This person was borderline, not aggressive. She was nice, a nice person, but there were some little sharp points to her personality. She was very sarcastic, very, uh, you know, she had a comeback for everything, you know, and it wasn't always nice, you know, and she was uh, constantly critical, you know. So on the inside, um, which turned out we're actually still friends. Like we became friends on Instagram, and so she's, you know, she's still around. Turns out she's super nice. She's so nice once you get past that hard exterior, right? So on the interior, she upholstered it with different candy wrappers that she liked, right? So, and it started a really, really nice conversation. And the conversation was like, you know, oh, that's my favorite candy. Oh, that's my favorite candy. And then we had this like long drawn out critique based on, you know, candy. And we would have never got to that had we not done this project. So that's another one I like. The one thing I did not like is that this is a master lock, and I wanted something a little more generic, right? So that says master lock on it, and we don't need to be advertising for some other company. All right. Okay, these two, I'll skip this one. I'll just say that this person didn't move at all from her chair in class. She just had this binder and she just took the cardboard out of it and sewed it together. And it was, she put a lot of work on into it, designing it and putting it together. And it turned out to be a really nice, she put her keys in here, right? So small, but a lot of work. And the materials were, you know, that's probably like 8 cents worth of material, if that. Okay, this one, I show this because if you've taken classes at Pasadena, you might have run into Trisha, last name, Rangel. Trisha Rangel taught in the design department for a couple years. And this makes me feel old because she was my student. um, and so Trisha is sort of, she's a different kind of thinker. She took pine needles, she's from Long Beach. She took pine needles that were just outside and weaved them together to make this basket, right? Ordinary pine needles that she found, and she weaved this together. And she's so like meticulous that, you know, she weaved in the, she like macrameed the cover, and then she was finished ahead of everybody. So she made a journal, like a book, and the book folds up and then it wraps around so the thing all, you know, it sort of binds together. And the journal is to document all the items that she would just put in there. And so it was just a beautiful item, and again, zero cost, right? Just going outside and finding stuff. All right. So those are the kinds of examples that, you know, stop the share here. Okay, those are just kind of the examples that those are good examples, but you should know that you have the exact amount of time that I give them face to face. What's going to be hard for you is that you don't have all the same equipment, so you're going to have to be extra resourceful, right? And if it gets to be like, oh, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and you still haven't come up with an idea, then you're way behind, and I'm worried that you won't come up with a quality project. Okay, so there's there's a lot of sculpture teachers and design teachers that teach this. I mean, they assign this a very either this project or very similar project, and um, one of the things when I applied, where was it? Was it Pasadena? I'm not sure. I applied. Oh, it was Citrus. I applied for a job there, and the guy interviewing me was like, "Hey, do you do it like a um, found object or found material project?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I do." It's very proud, it's my last project normally, and he was like, "Because I hate those." And I was like, "Well, why?" And what he said was actually really true. What he said was those projects always look like a bunch of junk that gets glued together. And that's actually true. So when I assign this project, one of the things that you have to focus on is that whatever material you use, you have to transform it completely so that the original meaning is something else. So, for example, if you have, let's see, if you have like cans, like soda cans, right, and you just like spray foam them all together and you made this big like container thing, that's fine and that's resourceful, but it still reads of Coke cans everywhere, right? So what I'd prefer that you did is that you cut them up, reverse them so that any advertising is not seen, and all you see is the aluminum, right? And that way, people still might be able to recognize it as a Coke can, aluminum can, but you've taken the meaning out of it and you're using it for your own material to say what you want to say and not for advertising. So another mistake, like, people have done projects out of like bottle caps, right? And then there's bottle caps everywhere. um, what you could do is just take them out on the pavement, hammer them flat, use the backside of it. Then you have these like metal discs, and that's what I would want you to use for your material. So if you just have like copy paper and you cut it up into strips and you use Elmer's glue to make it like a paper mache, that's fine, right? You're taking the material and you're transforming it. Here's the biggest mistake, because this is the biggest mistake so far in quarantine, and that is people take cardboard and then they make their project from it, and then it just looks like a crappy cardboard project, right? Cardboard is very, very hard to make it look professional, but it's possible. So if you use cardboard, you want to make sure that you seal off the ends so it doesn't have that perforated sort of look. You make sure that you want to do something to the surface so it doesn't have dents and wrinkles and stuff like that. You want to transform the material so that it doesn't read as cardboard. And so if you take my advice on those things, you're probably okay. And, um, so that's one of the requirements. Okay, so just to recap, the requirements has to be, you could maybe write this down because there's a few of them, right? Has to be a metaphor for you, right? Oh yeah, you have to title this thing, and I want you to focus on it. And I don't I don't feel like giving my TED talk on titles, but I just want you to focus on your titles. Okay. Maybe the next meeting, that's what I'll do. Next meeting, TED Talk on titles. Okay. Yeah, I don't feel like it tonight. All right. So the metaphor, title the work, it must be found, essentially found objects or material, found material, right? Project must open and close. Okay. So the project has to open and shut, right? And when it shuts, it needs to stay shut. So, and you can't go to Home Depot and buy hinges. Remember, you have to make up your own hinge, right? It can be a soft-sided hinge. You can make a hinge out of wire. However you want to make it open and close is fine. Doesn't even have to have a hinge. It can pressure fit together. That's fine. Okay. And um, so you can use Velcro if you have some around. Um, it just needs to open and close, right? Okay, so that's a requirement. And metaphor, open and close, found materials, title, yeah, and transform the material, right? So those are the 5 things in this project, and I want you to like focus on those. And in terms of the metaphor, I really want you to think about this. In other words, I want you to like think about how you look, not physically, but how you project yourself as a person, right? This gets into some heady, weird shit. Like, you start to like think about yourself. Then I don't want you to guys to get like super self-conscious over this, but like you think about how other people see you, and think about um, the interior you, and how it all plays back and forth, right? Does the interior you tell you to be something on the exterior? All right. So there should be some pretty substantial conversations that you have with yourself, and if you're in a situation where it's like, oh, this is just a project, that's way too personal. If you're even thinking in that area, then you're doing it right. Okay, so um, make it personal. I don't
Are you
need.
talking about me?
I don't need. Hey, Steven, can you mute yourself?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, I don't. We don't need to know your deep dark secrets. Um, you know, I'm not excluding that if there's something you want to tell me, but for the most part, I'm just asking you for just kind of like a glimpse into your personality. What makes you you? All right. So this is, if you think about it, we're shifting from design, well, a little bit, right? We're shifting from design and we're just sticking our toe into sculpture, right? We're just barely, now we're talking about the emotional aspect, um, the um, less about the function, right? Um, if this opens and closes in a weird way that wouldn't make sense at like Target, as a product, then we're also heading in the right direction. All right. So I want you to think, um, I hate the saying like think out of the box, you know, but this is where we start to do that, right? So um, the best or my favorite projects usually come from this this particular project, and I think it's another one that might be kind of apropos to the time we're in now, because we have all this time to sit around and think about ourselves, which is another weird thing. And so I think I think that's it. Do you guys have any questions about any of this so far?
I actually do have a question.
Okay.
Like what are like the size limitations of the project?
Thank you. Oh, that reminds me, we didn't go over the quiz yet, right? Okay, so size limitations are any size, okay? And so we've had a student cut like about 8 inches from a broomstick, and he hollowed it out, and then he made it so that it was like a cam that fit together, and it was really like elegant and simple. And he finished it with like a wood finish, and on the inside was this little. He is a Japanese guy, and inside was this little parchment, and I never figured out what the parchment was, but it was clearly important, you know. And then the then he just locked it together, um, and that was it. And it was an A project. I really liked it. So it was small, right? I've had another student that I used to assign this a little bit different, and I would say make a container for your most valued object, you know, and you could actually do that if you wanted it to do it that way. You can, but I got tired of hearing students saying, "Well, I don't value physical objects and some blah," and so I just I was like, okay, forget it. I'm just gonna do the metaphor because it's better anyway. So, but if you want to do like make a container that holds your most precious object, you can do it that way also. Okay. So let's take a look at the quiz. So I was saying that because one student made a teepee and she put herself in it, and it was big. It was a big outdoor thing, and that was her project. It was actually a good teepee. So, but everybody thought that was funny. All right. So let's see. We're gonna do the quiz now. So I'm gonna share the screen and go to
I already did.
what?
I already did the quiz.
I saw that. Okay, but so here's the correct answers. Okay. What did you get on the quiz?
A 10 out of 10.
Huh?
A 10 out of 10, I think.
10 out of 10? Oh, okay. Then you can help us with this. All right, quizzes. Okay, so I'm just going to go through and give you the answers now. Why is this called a personal container? Because you should make this a metaphor for your interior and exterior, because you can use it to store all your personal items. The object is personal to you because you made it. All of the above, all of the above. What kind of materials can I use? Asked the old man at Home Depot again. Pretty much anything you can find for free. Old container that you fix up a little bit. Don't even do that. A box that I paint real good. Okay, so pretty much anything you can find for free. All right, this container has to shut and stay closed. True. How big can this project be? Well, we know this. It could be car size, pencil size, smaller than a bread box, larger than a bread box, all of the above. I can buy hardware from Lowe's for this project. False. No buying, no hinges, Meh. If you buy magnets, I might let you slide just because magnets are cool, but otherwise, no. Which of the following would not be good to use as materials for the personal container? Cardboard, clothes slash fabric, leaves, neighbor's mailbox. Neighbor's mailbox. All right. What does it mean to transform materials in this project? Paint them a different color, alter the meaning slash function of the material, create a transformer from the material, connect the materials to an electrical transformer. No. Alter the meaning. Yeah. All right. If your project is flat on the bottom, what should you do? Okay, so this one is add feet, legs, or risers. This is actually, I have the two main rules of my classroom, which is to be nice and no Hello Kitty, right? But the Terraoka first rule of Terraoka design is if you have something that has a flat surface, a flat bottom, then you almost always want to add little legs, little feet, little risers. It always makes your design seem more important, and it creates a shadow on the bottom. And it's not only my first rule. This rule happens in industry and design, industrial design, all the time, right? So appliances, a lot of times they'll have those rubber feet that just stick up a little bit, right? So when you make your container, remember the shell container? It had those shells that went down for legs. That was a good use of putting legs on it. Okay, question 9. What criteria will increase the project grade? Craftsmanship, a descriptive narrative, transformation of material, interesting transition from open to closed, closed to open. All of them are important. Okay. Question 10. Where's the question? Whoa, I don't see the question. Do you see it? That's so weird. All right, can I tell what the question is by, let me refresh the page. I know it's there. Okay, so the question is, what do I do to document this project throughout the course of the project? Photo to canvas, okay. How do you turn in this assignment? That's what the question is, which is different than Citrus. Okay, so anyway, the correct way to submit this project is photos and video to Canvas. All right, submit the quiz. I got 10 out of 10 on my own quiz. Yay. All right, so that's the quiz. All right. Julia asked if we can use materials you bought in the past. Totally, yeah, just as long as you don't spend any, where did Julia go? Oh, just as long as you don't spend any money going forward. So again, you could use, if you want to use your foam board and put it together with the baling wire. If you want to use all your old materials from the semester, you're free to do that. Okay, so I think that's everything. Any other questions that you might have? Yeah, so
For this project, since it's like a narrative kind of project, do we have to write like an essay or like a description about our project? or talk about it in the video?
That's such a great question. And well, I've not required anything, but it's such a nice idea if because since we've all just sort of recently become, online, in class we talk it over, right? So everything's sort of discussed, but it never crossed my mind to like assign you like an essay to go with it. But let's just say this: I won't require it, but it's awfully nice um, if you submit it with just a little paragraph of how it became. All right, and oh, also. Um, this project in particular, if you want to have a critique, since it's basically due the end of the semester, so there's a wall there that we can't, there's a barrier, we can't discuss it afterwards. But that final week, if you want to arrange like a critique, just me and you, and we'll go over it in detail. I'll bust you up just like a regular, critique and a regular art school critique. And, we'll go over everything that's right with it, everything that's wrong with it. Here's why that's important, because there's a good chance you'll make an A on it, but there's going to be a lot of stuff that I want to tell you, right? There could be a lot of stuff that I think you could improve on or do differently. And that's just because I'm soft as a grader, right? But so I would highly recommend that if you get to a point where you're kind of done and you want to talk it over and you still have time for adjustments, let's have just a one-on-one critique, or you can just send stuff back and forth to me on Hangouts. And you know I know that like that you that have communicated with me on Hangouts, well, the first thing you'll realize is sometimes I'll just answer it, I could be driving in my car and I won't give it the same attention that if I'm just happen to be just laying on my back, and I have my phone there and you ask a question, I'll just stay there forever and answer it. Like I'll just give you a full-fledged thing. But if we meet in person, I can give you that full half an hour, 45 minutes, hour, 90-minute critique if that's what you want. Okay, so just know that that's available. And my other classes have hardly even taken advantage of that. So why don't you take advantage of it? And that way I can, you can get the most out of it, and we'll be better for it. Okay, any other questions? So the answer is, yeah, basically that's going to register as like extra credit if you put in a paragraph, right? And so that I know where it comes from, and it could make a difference. Also, giving it a good title can tell me a lot, right? It can tell me a lot because, titling work is, it's my subspecialty. Like I'm not an expert on that kind of thing, but I'm really good at it, and I'm really judgmental about titles. So think about it, make it a good one, and it's an exercise that'll help you with projects down the road. Okay, anything else? All right. Well, I have to say that your wait, I have to share this with Citrus, so I'm not going to say that. And actually, Citrus is you've both been doing like a really good job this semester. It's my other class at Pasadena that's just it's just not, I don't know what's happening. So anyway, I want to thank you for doing good work and then being engaged and visiting me during my extremely lonely office hours. And so I appreciate it. So, so keep in contact, and I'll see you, I think, in a couple weeks. Okay. All right. Good night.
Professor, sorry, one question.
Yeah.
It's not really a question. I'm going to drop off my ballot right now.
Okay. Nice. Good. Excellent.
Got my sticker. Thank you. All right.
All right. So, if you remember, can you just take a picture and put it in the extra credit on Canvas?
Will
Yeah,
do.
I'll give you extra credit for it. Awesome. All
For the
right.
vote?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody go vote now, or if you haven't already.
Professor, I voted several months ago.
I did too. Yeah. So if you have your sticker or something, then if you can prove it somehow, just send a picture. All right. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Good night,
I'll be
everybody.
back in. Oh, Professor. So, this project could be anything, right?
Not anything, but it should be a container.
Oh, a container. I didn't mean anything. Like the
Right.
container could represent anything. That's really what I meant to say.
Yeah. So Stephen, why don't you do this? I'm going to post the whole meeting on Canvas, and then
What paper?
Okay. So I think any questions you might have is probably covered in the video. All right. Okay. Now, good night.
Good night.
See ya.
You
Bye.